Hello, Sarah.
Hey, official, what's up?
I'm good, but I'm not still calm right now. After 2 days of this drama, I know a lot of people
Okay,
that I agree with me a lot.
okay,
But 1 year later, if I will have a new, better computer for me after my birthday, July, I will
okay,
starting to make some StreamYard videos for a while with my new friends.
okay. Makes sense.
That makes sense for them too. But them
I
as
just draw my tattoos using my pen.
Uh, yes, but I only prefer to have my own tattoos, very realistic, very artistic, if I would be an adult.
Okay,
Because it's my own choices,
okay.
it's their own talents, you know?
Mm-hmm.
There are a lot of people who are now fully retired beyond Ganymede for real, because they will only prefer to choose their own better other things than getting stuck by these worst deeds, you know?
Okay.
Everyone around the world are not all perfect, you know. Everyone around the world are all still equal than rather superior or inferior. Good users and bad users terms don't exist at all. And never say that in my channel. So promise me, because I am sick and tired to all of these things that are getting more and more negative
Calm down.
than
Take a
any
deep
of these
breath.
positives. I'm already calmed down right now.
Okay. I'm going to tap the screen to see a
Oh.
BTS member will wake up when you tap the screen. Okay, let's see which one I get. Fingers crossed. Official. Fingers crossed.
Hmm.
Okay, let's see what I get. Please be my bias. Please be my bias. Please be my bias, damn it. Oh, Taeyong. Not bad. Not bad. It says Taeyong finally opens his eyes and it says, "Today I'm feeling wise, surging with knowledge." Okay.
Hello, Finley.
Hey, Finn.
Good to see you.
And then here I have Ice Willow, aka Willow.
Ice Cube.
Uh-oh. This might trigger her if you kept calling her that name.
Oh, sorry about that. But
If you try to trigger her with her name
I'm
or that
sorry.
nickname.
Sorry, Sarah. It's just a joke, okay? I'm not gonna to lie.
Okay. You know, I got my own joke name.
Jokes are one of my favorites, but as I have autism,
Yeah, I have autism
I, st-
too.
I still have my multiple humoristic and comedic behaviors issues. You know,
Okay.
very rarely sometimes I have anger issues, you know,
Makes sense.
just like Rio, for example. But Saturday, I would join to StreamYard with Vowley daily. with watching
Okay.
some funny videos.
Oh, Ice Willow is here. Hey, Ice
Hello?
Willow. Official, you know what to do. And we have JT. Guys, wait. I got a phone call from
JT is
Taeyong.
coming. Hello.
I got a phone call from Taeyong, aka V from BTS. Just listen. Wait.
매니저님, 저
Hello,
지민이
Carlos.
October.
Hello.
October, actually.
좀큰 왕밴드.
Most
Oh,
people call it spooky.
you saw?
You know, because of Halloween.
저도 아파.
What? You're hurt?
저 되게 많이 아프거든.
Mm-hmm.
What? Where? Where does it hurt?
어디가 아프냐면
It's fine.
It right?
가슴이 아파요.
What the? You scared me.
놀랐죠? 근데 진짜로 마음이 조금 아파요. 오늘 연습 분위기가 좀 그랬잖아요.
You're right.
오늘이 드디어 우리 첫 연습이었는데 제 마음도 이런데 매니저님도 마음이 안 좋은 것 같아서.
I didn't know you were so thoughtful, Taeyong.
그래서 저도 반창고를 한번 사봤습니다. 매니저님 만나면 딱 붙여드리라고.
What? Are you serious? Ha!
웃었다. 봐봐요. 웃으니까 좋잖아요. 저 배터리 다 돼서 꺼질 것 같아요.
Oh my god. He just scared me.
Really?
Yeah, he's
How are
been
you,
hard
Carlos?
fellow.
I'm fine. And you?
Me too. 2 days of
Huh.
drama is now over. You should better
Carlos
get
and I have been friends
Ah.
so long.
to get away with these. This is drama-free zone. And
Yeah, this is from a
my channel is total drama-free zone. I have zero drama and zero toxicity in my channel. I'm still very happy that I'm still very safe with my own things, with my own hindering animations. You know, I would
see.
do this in the future. But I
Huh.
already
Interesting.
hand drawn 4 different groups of weapons that you will share your YouTube screen for us.
Oh my gosh.
That's
Ice
nice to
Willow
hear.
got excited. Ice Willow got so excited because she thought I was calling Taehyung.
You'll get a little of this one.
Where am I? Hang on. I'm playing Red Dead. That's why.
Couple of minutes. I'm gonna show a few hilarious.
I don't play games today. So yeah.
Hey Carlos, have you known BTS for so long?
Oh yeah, I remember BTS. There's like that song called Butter.
Look at this.
Who is your bias?
Not bad.
Yeah, I've known BTS, but not. I don't listen to it that often.
Hey,
What
look at
is
this.
that?
Not bad.
Mm.
Sarah, you guys, you heard about
Yes.
Death of Boom? Skitty Bob Toilet.
Jeremy?
That's right. And it's
Yeah, I
Scout,
don't know.
Dad.
No, Jeremy. I named you.
No, you ruined my life.
How can I ruin your life? I wasn't even there.
Bruh, is that a Lloyd Chicago reference?
Nice.
Nice, nice.
Yeah. Hmm.
Okay, how do I begin? I had decided to buy myself this journal a long while ago to pretty much write down my thoughts. My name is Michael Weckler, and I am an engine driver on the Northwestern Railway. I work alongside my fireman Ted, and we both drive the railway's number 3, also known as Henry. I'm pretty sure you all know about him at this point, whether it would be his tunnel, his new shape, the flying kipper, or, of course, our favorite spot when we have no work to do or just want to relax, Henry's Forest. You're probably concerned about the whole Rule 55 thing that Wilbert Audrey complained about, but as it turns out, we do always whistle at the signal to let him know we're coming to stop at the siding. He's very nice man he is. We always leave Henry to go up to the signal box and have a friendly chat with him about our day, how our families were going, like if we were old mates who usually spend time at the pub. And during all that, we would look out of the window and see our engine admiring the beautiful scenery or watch the workmen doing their work. And sometimes when he sees another engine coming through the main line, he would call out a greeting to them. There really was something about that forest that the big green engine loves about the island. We could all agree that it really was peaceful, as well as hope that nothing will change, especially the time when a huge storm damaged the forest and everyone came to build it up again, leaving Henry very grateful for the help of Toby, Trevor, and Terence. He does do work around here, of course, but like I said, we usually stop on a siding whenever we just want some time out of work, and it is certainly a blessing indeed. Today was Wednesday 11th, and we had done a lot of odd jobs here and there for the rest of the afternoon. After a morning break around the forest, I'm currently riding down around the sheds at Tidmouth on our lunch break, and what can I really say? Henry is doing fine, and his fire is burning nicely. He's also looking over at the sunset, waiting and ready to pull the flying kipper for tonight. We went along though, as Henry was having a friendly chat with Donald while we spoke with his crew. Nothing much to write here, really. We're getting ready to pull the kipper now, but as we were preparing to leave the turntable, we noticed that when Douglas backed next to Donald, he remained silent and kept staring down at his buffers. His twin asked him what was wrong, and he said that during one of his passenger runs, he could have sworn he saw a man wearing a hockey mask in the far distance around Henry's forest, staring at him. Henry and Donald assured him that it was just his imagination and told him that it was probably some kind of tourist wandering around the forest. This seemed to have calmed him down a bit, and after pulling the regulator, Henry set off towards the harbor. We are coasting down the line with the kipper now, and I even got a chance to look around the forest. We didn't see any man wearing a hockey mask though, so I'm sure that whatever Douglas saw, it was playing around in his smoke box. I'll probably stop writing for now, just so we can finish the job and head back home to our beds. I could see that Ted was getting tired too, and I don't blame him. Anyway, I'll be writing down in this journal again in case things get interesting. Shit, I knew Douglas wasn't seeing things. I just hope we find him soon. It's now Friday the 13th, which I suppose it is, because a thick fog is looming around the island, making our journeys very difficult, but we push on as always. I didn't manage to write down much for the entire day, due to how much we had to deal with, although the whole day was pretty much uneventful, so I have nothing much to say. However, as soon as we finished delivering our last goods trains across the evening and made our way to Henry's forest, that's when our night became horrible. We whistled to the signalman again. He switched the points to us as always, although he didn't say anything to any of us, so we just stopped Henry by the siding. To make things even weirder, we saw only one workman around the forest as we were making our way to the signal box to check with the signalman. We asked him where the other workmen are, but he only told us that we shouldn't be here and that we needed to get the hell out of there. Confused, we just let him stay around Henry for a bit while we went into the signal box. We didn't chat for very long, as we suddenly heard some kind of voice coming through the trees. The signalman went pale immediately after hearing that, and we quickly decided to let him come with us back to our engine. As we were climbing into Henry's cab, we saw the workman trying to talk to. No, it can't be. It was a man wearing a hockey mask that Douglas described, but he was clearly holding some bloody mischief. We called out for him to stay away from that thing, but it was no use as he was stabbed by the hockey mask man, and we decided to make a run for it backwards. Didn't stop until we reached Elsbridge and got ourselves together on the platform, wondering what the hell just happened. Henry is freaking out more than us, but I don't blame him. The signalman stayed to calm him down, while me and Ted walked over to the station to get some food. As I was getting ourselves some pastries, he showed me a newspaper that a very infamous serial killer named Jason Voorhees had came back from his burial spot in Camp Crystal Lake and ended up in a ship to Soda, killing many passengers on board. While it was understandable, it didn't make any sense at the same time, but after we finished getting filled up with decent food, we went back into our engine and continued to drive down the line in reverse, slowly and carefully this time, while whispering goodbye to the signalman as we left him on the platform. God, I pray that he'll be okay. We haven't gone very far when we were past the timber yard, when Henry suddenly stopped in shock. We leaned out, and we were also surprised to see who it was. Right next to us, with 4 flatbeds and a brake van, stood a very shaken Donald. Henry asked if he was all right, and he said that he, along with his crew, were fine. They just couldn't believe what they had to witness earlier today. We then told him to explain everything, and so he did. It was the middle of the day when it all happened. Donald was just waiting for workmen to load up his flatbeds with logs when they all heard a voice around the area. Before he and his crew knew it, the man wearing a hockey mask had begun to kill the workmen around him. Not knowing what to do, Donald started to run away while the fire began to call an ambulance for the workmen, even though some of them would already be dead. Just like us, Donald and his crew stopped around Elsbridge just so they could catch the wraith in the yards, and while they were there, Douglas stopped by and wondered what was wrong. He told him that he was right about the man and that he had to witness the workmen being killed around Henry's forest. Douglas was sorry for his twin as they both continued their work, with Donald reaching the timber yards and unloaded the logs, though he couldn't shake off the feeling of what just happened, and neither could his crew. We asked what happened afterwards, and he said that he simply stayed there and listened to the news through a radio about Jason, and many engines had passed by. For example, James rumbling by with a slow goods train as usual, as well as Duck pulling a local passenger train. With so much that has happened to us in one night, we had agreed to go straight to the sheds to clear our heads, or in Henry and Donald's case, clear their smoke box. During the journey, Henry told Donald his side of the story, and he was glad that we had survived. We were also sorry for the workmen that were killed around Donald, and told him as well that there wasn't anything he could have done. Once we had backed our engines into the shed, we found Edward, Percy, Toby, and to our relief, Douglas in the shed. While Douglas was comforting his twin, Edward wondered if we were all right, to which Henry explained that they had encounters with this Jason character. He then sighed and began to tell everyone about what he was told about him. Apparently, people from far away had said that Jason had died when he was just a small boy and was buried, but as it turns out, he seems to keep coming back from the dead to get his revenge. Some people have had their own encounters with him and had survived. Some tried to even stop him, but they just couldn't. All of us had pretty much remained silent, as the old engine had finished saying that if we ever see him, we should be careful. Eventually, all the engines had fallen asleep, except Henry and I have been having to write all of this down while Henry was still awake, and just like what Donald said, I'm just glad we're all still alive. I think I'm going to stop writing for now. I can see that Henry is finally drifting off to sleep. I just hope someone will catch that Jason bastard. I wish I could say things got better for us, but as soon as we reached Kildin, that's when shit hit the fan. We switched to the sidings around the station and stopped there because we saw Rebecca, Gordon, and Percy. They looked like they were talking about what happened to them, and Percy looked tired, which, as it turns out, he had to shove Gordon's coaches out of the way and put them at the platform. Henry, too, was wondering what happened to the two big engines, so they began to tell us. It was around the same time we were pulling our local passenger train, and Rebecca was just at Kirk roaming with her own local, which I guess explains why we didn't see her and had to push her whole train there, because the nearest turntable to her was under repairs. She didn't mind though, because she was just happy to be useful. But out of nowhere, after the voice of Jason showed around, the turntable to her was under repairs. She didn't mind though, because she was just happy to be useful. But out of nowhere, after the voice of Jason showed around the station, he began to kill some of the nearest staff and passengers on the platform, causing everyone to go into panic. Rebecca ran back to the station, but had forgotten to couple back up to the coach. She wanted to stop and go back for them, but when Jason saw her, she knew she had to leave her poor coaches and passengers behind. When she reached the junction, she rushed the other track towards Kilburn, but as soon as she passed the difficult bend, she popped a piston around Ballard Drive and came to a stop. That was when she saw Gordon approach her with the same line and slammed on his brakes just in time. At first, Gordon was cross and asked Rebecca why she was in the middle of the mainland, but as soon as he saw Jason behind her, slowly approaching them, he quickly bucked up to her, and they both went straight to Kilburn in reverse. They didn't go very fast though, since Gordon still had his express, but it was fast enough for them to get away from Jason.
Bye. Right.
Once they were there, Gordon told the station master to get an engine to put his coaches on the platform for another engine to take over the express for him while he looked after Rebecca, to which he agreed and sent for Percy. Salty then asked Rebecca where her crew was, and she said that they were talking to the station master about trying to figure out who will take the express instead to Vickerstown. Before Henry could even offer to help, we all heard a bunch of screaming from the town under the station and saw Jason kill a whole bunch of people. Then he suddenly looked up at us and slowly started to make his way towards the station. Rebecca blew her whistle loud and long to alert his crew, but that was a big mistake for her, because when she broke her piston, water had been leaking out of her. Her crew arrived as fast as they could and jumped into the cab, but we soon realized that Rebecca's face was turning as red as Jane's paintwork and her boiler was now completely dry. Her crew were trying desperately hard to cool her off, while Percy was begging us to save her, and Gordon yelled at him to not approach her. And then it happened. It all happened so fast that my hand is shaking as I'm writing this down. When it all became too much for her, Rebecca shut her eyes and screamed so loud till her boiler exploded. Like, oh my fucking god. First of all, boiler tubes went everywhere. Some of them flew by Gordon and nearly killed him, since they were just so close to his face and cab window. Henry and Salty were alright. We managed to back them away from Rebecca before she went off. And Percy, oh god, Percy. A lot of her blood had splattered all over the right side of him, and his face was filled with pure horror, mixed with the blood, which didn't help. And as for Rebecca's crew, they were already killed from the explosion, so they didn't even stood a chance. Even though Jason finally got to the platform through the silence around the area, Percy ran off screaming while we took Gordon and got the fuck out of there. The poor engine was devastated, and so was Henry. There just wasn't any time to mourn for our friend. Everything was just happening so fast that we didn't even get the chance to say goodbye to Rebecca. We can all hear Gordon crying, but we all needed to get to Maron as fast as possible.
To the street, it's an empty dance and so incomplete. The hollow voices whisper a cry farther down the line. There's a reason why. You tried before, but you can't buy it through. No matter what you do. Shadows that point the way never lead you out. It's a game they play. The madness comes and the madness goes. It's a simple world, but it's all they know. You tried to fix it, but there's nothing you can do. You just gotta see it through.
Hey, James.
Hello? Hello, Nami. How are you right now?
Good.
Hi.
James?
Sarah,
Yeah, are you?
stop that video, please. I need to tell you something just real quick.
I'm sad right now.
How are you right now, Nami?
I'm good.
I'm ancient.
Me
That's God.
too.
I'm ancient God. Community guideline strikes.
Oh my god.
Yeah, I know.
I wanna get. I don't want to.
But it's kind of a little tragic
Right, I
as
got a
we
call
know it.
from John. I got a call from John Cook. Everybody listen. Wait, I got a call. Guys, listen.
자요? 제가 자는 거 깨운 거 아니죠?
Nope, it's okay. What's going on for you to call at this hour?
그게 그러니까 아니에요.
You must have called me because you had something to say. It's okay. You can tell me.
그게 현준이 때문에 잠이 안 와서.
Huh? What do you mean? Why?
저를 한번 잠들면 누가 잡아가도 모르는데
Ah, you were bothered by Namjoon working at his computer.
그래서 잠도 안 오고 해서 전화했어요.
You called because you thought of me? Wow. I've never expected that. You thought of me because you couldn't sleep? Is that what you called?
아니요, 그건 아니고요. 좀 물어보고 싶은 게 있어서.
What is it? What could Jung be curious about? Ask away, yeah. What is it?
그렇게 말씀하시니까 좀 부담스러운데.
Sorry, I'll stop. Go on.
지민이 형이 방에 놀러 오라고 하긴 했었는데 해석이는 혹시 불편하면 어떨까요?
I see that you're shy, Jung.
제가 형들 방에 가는 것에 대해 어떻게 생각하세요?
Hey, why not? I mean, they're your friends after all. I mean, why not? I'm sure they love it if you stop by.
진짜요? 그럼 저 매니저님 말 믿고 지금 갑니다.
Don't forget your pillow.
여기도 챙겨가라고요? 네네, 여기도 챙겼어요.
Good job. Hurry on over.
저 지금 연락에 도착했어요. 형들, 저도 같이 자고 싶어요. 여기도 챙겨왔는데. 저 들어오래요. 안 된다고 하면 매니저는 바꿔주려고 했는데. 그럼 전 이만 끊도록 하겠습니다. 매니저님도 안녕히 계세요.
Good night. I guess he was really shy when he called me.
The evening was falling on Sodor. The engines were stuck in the shunting yard because the points leading to the turntable were jammed. As the workmen mended them, the engines became bored. They all wanted to rest in their nice, warm sheds. To pass the time, they began to talk about the upcoming Halloween celebrations.
I heard a little boy on the platform saying he's going to be a zombie this year.
Percy said.
What is a zombie?
It's a monster that is said to be a dead human come back to life. Or at least that's what my driver said. He saw a movie about them with his wife once.
Edward explained. Edward then chuckled.
But she didn't enjoy it, so he said.
Oh, that sounds scary.
Percy said, shivering. Gordon, James, and Henry just laughed. Pah! What nonsense! James huffed. The idea of a person coming back to life as a corpse is just complete rubbish. Percy huffed. Then he grinned at Thomas.
You are partly right, James.
He said.
The idea of a human coming back to life from the dead is rubbish, but...
He paused impressively. But what? James asked.
Well, a human coming back from the dead is impossible. Something else might be.
He said quietly.
What are you getting at, little Percy?
Gordon grunted.
Well,
said Percy.
Before I came to Sodor, I met an engine who came into the workshop where the first Fat Controller met me. He told me a tale about a railway far, far away from here. This railway was a small branch that served some farms and a large iron ore mine. The controller of this railway wasn't very kind like the Fat Controller. In fact, he was very cruel and greedy. He hardly ever spent any money on maintaining the engines, and he poured his money into his own pockets. The engines were always in pain when they worked. The drivers, firemen, and mine employees felt sorry for the engine's pain. They lodged their complaints with the controller, but he didn't care. Soon, the farms and mines began to use the roads instead, using horse and cart instead of the rail line. Unless the controller did something, he finally caved and promised that he would find a solution. And he did.
Percy paused and gave a shudder. The three big engines stared in shock.
What did he do?
Henry asked.
One night, one of the engines, number 3242, was asked to stay at a special shed that the controller had reserved for him. The engine who told me the story said he woke up in the middle of the night to hear the other engine crying in pain. A light inside the shed flickered, and the scream suddenly stopped. After a few moments, the light went out and the shed doors opened. He closed his eyes to pretend he was asleep. As he heard the footsteps crunching away on the ballast, he opened an eye and saw the controller walking back to his office. The engine went back to sleep, thinking it was just some dream.
Percy paused, shuddering again.
Oh, how wrong was he?
The three big engines stared in horror, enthralled by the story.
The next day, the controller met the people who complained at the station.
Ladies and gentlemen, I've heard your complaints about the pain of the engines. Rest assured, I have taken steps to fix this. Let me introduce you to the new and improved number 3242.
The engine was in the yard and saw what happened next. There came number 3242, creaking and groaning like always with his scratched paint. Men gasped in horror. A woman fainted. The controller just chuckled. Where the engine's face used to be, there's now nothing but a smokebox door.
I've taken care of 3242's pain. He won't complain anymore. He could still be,
he said,
really useful.
The big engines gasped in shock. The idea that an engine, once living and breathing, was rendered dead, yet still forced to work on like zombie engine, James said, quivering.
Zombie engine?
The controller didn't stop there.
Ventured Percy.
He kept going, doing whatever horrible thing he did to render an engine like 3242. The engine crews refused to drive their engines after this, but they were replaced with new crews. People called him a murderer, but he didn't care.
I am the controller, and engines are best seen and not heard,
was all he said.
What about the engine who told you the story?
Gordon gasped.
His crew saved him. One night, the engine crew fired him up, and they left the railway. They didn't know where they would go, or what they would do. But working anywhere was better than working on that railway. Better than working among the living dead.
There was silence in the yard. Just then, a workman came walking up. "The points are fixed. You can get back to the sheds now," he said. The three big engines took off quickly. Edward remained behind. He looked at Percy and chuckled once they were out of earshot.
Do you think we should tell him about the faceless engines?
He asked.
Maybe some other time, after Halloween,
Percy said cheekily. And the three engines puffed off to join the others in the shed.
I wasn't expecting that.
That's why it's called a adaptation of a audio story.
Okay. So,
I was originally
James,
going
how
to do
you
it
doing?
for last year,
Still working on
but
that Halloween special?
yeah, it was one of the few many. I'm premiering a few videos on each Tuesday until Halloween.
Yep, until Halloween.
Yep.
But bad news, guys.
What?
My main channel got community guideline strikes.
Yeesh. Talk about tough luck.
Yeesh.
My
Do you
I
agree,
got
James?
Nine strikes. Here's it.
James?
Here's it.
Jeez.
James.
Talk about tough luck.
James, wake up.
Look, this.
Okay.
Okay, Boomer.
800 subs. Oh yeah, I almost got 800 subs, but some kind of stupid fucking some kind of thing just keeps stealing all my subscribers. You just subscribe and unsubscribe. They go through a loop. James, what's the explanation for this?
Well,
look, this. Your community guidelines strikes. I'm sorry.
Like James went offline.
Look, I got community guidelines strikes. I'm sad right now. I got community guidelines strikes. I'm so
Be
sad.
careful. You have to be super careful.
Right.
Okay. I want to get terminated. I don't want to get terminated.
I think, yeah, my share screen is on. I think I'm ready. I'm just checking my share screen.
All right.
The next day, he spoke to Duncan's driver and fireman, who agreed. We'll do it tonight. Duncan had to take coal cars to the slate mines and then bring cars back. Duncan's driver decided as part of the plan to cross the old iron bridge. Haunted bridge. Rubbish, snorted Duncan. It's as tame as a pet rabbit.
Tame as a
But
pet
all the
rabbit.
same, he kept thinking about Rusty's story. When dusk fell, he was keen to leave. If we don't go now, Scarloey will take my favorite place in the sheds. We have to collect our cars first, his driver replied. He could see their plan was working because Duncan was nervous. When night fell, they set off. The mists were rising around the old iron bridge. Duncan whistled, and the sound echoed everywhere. Then, ahead, he saw flickering lights. His driver knew they were only insects that shine brightly at night, but to Duncan they looked like an engine. Next, his driver secretly threw a rock from the cab into the ravine below. It's the ghost! Take me back! Take me back, please! When Duncan reached the safety of his shed, he closed his eyes tightly. Spooked, are you, Duncan? Laughed his driver. No, I'm asleep. And Duncan refused to open his eyes. He did, though, when he thought his driver wasn't looking, just to make sure that he was still there.
I won't spoil anymore until they are all premiered. However, I do have one thing. Sure.
Okay.
One morning, Henry found himself stuck on Gordon's Hill. He had tried to tackle the notorious Graves alone, and fortunately hadn't succeeded. He began to hear his impatient passengers complaining. "Where's Edward?" he exclaimed. The guard walked up to the cab to speak to the driver and fireman. "I've called for a banker, but we will have to wait until Edward has picked up a good train from the other way." At that moment, Douglas appeared over the top of the hill. He whistled to indicate to Edward that he could continue his journey alone. "Come on, Edward," snorted Henry rudely. "We haven't got all day, you know." Edward didn't reply. When he had finally been turned around and changed lines, he found Henry, who had been granted permission to reverse down to the bottom of the hill. Edward gently buffeted up to the rear coach. "Ready, Henry?" called Edward. Come on, puffed Henry. Get pushing! As the train began to crawl up the hill, the two engines were working hard. Clouds of steam rocketed into the air as Edward was pushing with all of his might. They were nearly at the top of the hill when there was a loud bang. Steam shot from either side of Edward. Henry continued forwards, but the lack of support from behind soon took its toll. Henry slipped fiercely and ground to a halt. Suddenly, the weight of his train began to pull him backwards, and he rolled back into Edward. Edward's driver applied the brakes fiercely as Henry and the entire train's weight was forced upon him. With his brakes screeching loudly, the train was brought to a safe stop, back at the bottom of the hill. "Are you all right, Edward?" shouted Henry. "No," muttered Edward in pain. Edward was quickly taken to the works. The Fat Controller came to see him. "What's the damage, Inspector?" he asked worriedly. "A burst cylinder, I'm afraid," replied the inspector. "I hate to say this, but Edward is very old. It would be in both yours and Edward's best interest if he were to retire from banking duties." The Fat Controller listened carefully. "Branch line work suits him well, but doing that and banking trains up Gordon's Hill means that he's being run into the ground. I'm surprised this hasn't happened sooner at the age he is." The Fat Controller considered the case. "Well, Edward, I think it's time to hand over your banking duties to another engine." "Yes, sir," agreed Edward sadly. News soon spread around the yards. "The Fat Controller's looking for a new banker," said James. "Well, he won't choose me," grunted Gordon. "The Fat Controller would never use an express engine in such a manner as banking." "Oh, come on now, Gordon," snorted Donald crossly. "We all must help out." "Aye, Edward's helped keep the trains running for years, and now we must do the same," added Douglas. All the engines found it difficult to keep up their own work as well as sharing the responsibility as banker. Because of this, strange things began to happen. Engines began experiencing the presence of another engine. One that wasn't there. Engines struggling with their trains would suddenly be bumped from behind and feel the strength of another engine pushing the train up the hill, only to discover the real banker coming the other way helping another train. They could all hear a steam engine hard at work, and a screaming whistle alerting them they had finished pushing and starting to ease off.
Sarah?
Crews began talking of a mysterious banker.
Can you please to turn down the volume? I need to tell you something.
To feel nervous.
Okay. What is it?
In my channel, I already lost 2 subscribers in my channel because there are 2 users who got terminated by something. That's strange, you know.
Of a mysterious banker assisting trains at Gordon's Hill. The engines began to feel nervous. The story soon spread, and all the engines had made their own conclusions. Pip and Emma were most intrigued, but weren't convinced. "There's a ghost engine. I'm sure of it," quivered Oliver. "Nonsense," exclaims Pip. "You're all jumping to conclusions." "It's not nonsense," grumbled Duck. "It's very much real." "Just because there's something happening that you can't explain doesn't mean it's a ghost," laughed Emma. "It's all right for you two. You didn't need a banker," huffed Donald. "There has to be an explanation. All this never happened when Edward was banker, and now all of a sudden there's a ghost helping trains," said Pip. The engines thought for a moment. "You're all overworked and your minds are playing tricks on you," soothed Emma. "I'm telling you, I haven't lost my marbles yet. I know what I feel," barked Donald. "And there's something on that hill. I know it." Pip and Emma dismissed the thought and departed the big station. Later that day, the weather had changed for the worse. The rain pelted down. It made the mood on Gordon's Hill even more tense. Pip and Emma were returning back to the big station. They glided effortlessly through Marin Station. "Keep your eyes peeled for the ghost," teased Emma. As they approached Gordon's Hill, they could hear a steam engine working hard on the other side. They then heard the familiar whistle of James. Some ghost that is, chuckled Pip. But suddenly, Emma heard another whistle. It screeched through the hillside and echoed all around her. As James came to view, he looked very shaken up. He passed him with his goods train. Emma, who was leading, expected to see the banker slowing down at the top of the hill. But as they went over the
Okay,
other
I'm back,
side,
Sarah.
Emma could see nothing. "Where's the other engine?" she cried. "Where's what?" asked Pip. "The banker. I
I
heard the
already
banker,
lost
and
2
now it's gone."
subscribers in my channel.
The
They are,
driver was
because there are
concerned.
only
Maybe there's been an
2
accident.
users who
We'll stop
got
at every
terminated by
station and raise the
something.
alarm.
That's so strange, as I
When they
said.
arrived, they told the station
But the
master
only
Wow.
he was
one
most
best
confused.
things
That's
to
impossible.
increase
The engine
very,
on
very
banking
rapidly
duty is bare, and he's currently
of the
removed.
subscribers are
But I heard a
creating
steam engine.
the
insisted Emma.
hand-drawing
That's
animation
impossible,
videos
explained. The engine on
with
banking
full of
duty is bare, and he's currently running late.
epicness,
But I heard a steam
nostalgia,
engine.
old
insisted
school,
Emma.
gothic,
It must have been
cyberpunk,
James.
or anything like
But there was
that.
a second whistle too,
You know?
added Emma. "Oh, please send
Makes
someone up to
sense.
check." The only engines available in the yard.
But as
Bill
for
and Ben.
VR Ganymedes,
All
I'm
traffic was
not
halted,
sure
and they set off with
because
the works coach.
too
They
unsafe for
inspected
me to
all
say
around
this.
Gordon's Hill, but no engine could be found. They returned shortly. Emma was very confused, but Bill and Ben believed her. "We've heard an engine banking trains too," explained Bill. "You can hear it from the yards. It's got an awful shrill whistle that goes right through you," shivered Ben. "Oh, Emma, you don't believe in all this ghost rubbish, do you?" grumbled Pip. Emma said nothing as she pulled the train away. Somehow it didn't add up. By nightfall, it was time for the late-night express. The mysterious occurrence had plagued her mind so much that she began to suffer engine trouble. A fitter came to see if he could repair her engine. The fitter tried as hard as he could, but he couldn't get Emma's engine to run smoothly. "Pip will just have to manage the train on her own, I'm afraid," said the fitter. "You may need assistance up Gordon's Hill." Emma gulped. Pip was cross. "I can manage," she snapped. "I don't want Emma getting ideas in her head about a stupid ghost there." As the passengers began to board, a thick grey fog rolled in. "We won't be going very fast tonight, girls," said the driver. "Wouldn't be safe in such poor visibility." At last, it was time to depart. Emma said nothing as Pip pulled the train away. All went well until they neared Gordon's Hill. The fog was even thicker. Pip couldn't see a thing, nor could Emma. As they rolled through Edward Station, Pip's driver opened the accelerator and she began to attack the climb. Emma trailed behind. She gasped in shock as an unfamiliar shape of a steam engine stood in the siding and watched them go by. "Faster, Pip! Faster!" cried Emma.
Bye.
Pip was working
Wow.
hard. The noise of her engine
Yeah.
drowned out the calls from her sister far
Hey,
behind.
what's gonna happen?
Emma suddenly felt a sick
What
feeling as she could hear the sound of a steam engine
We'll
getting
see.
closer and closer. "Quick, Pip! Please go faster, please!" begged Emma. The sound grew louder and louder. The tracks began to hum with the approach of another engine. Suddenly, out of the fog, screaming fit to burst, was a steam engine. It charged at Emma with great speed. Emma's engine suddenly roared into life, and she forcibly pushed Pip and the train up the hill. They shot over the other side and raced to the next station. Once there, the driver checked Emma over. "Are you all right, Emma?" asked Pip. She was worried for her sister. It was the ghost. I saw it. It came at me. It was going to hit us," she cried. "Emma, you're scaring me now, but it's true." Pip, unsure what to make of the matter, pulled away cautiously. The news reached the Fat Controller. He took Pip and Emma out of service for a couple of days. When Edward's repairs had been completed, the Fat Controller gathered all his engines at the sheds. Pip and Emma were shunted alongside. "It has come to my attention that strange occurrences have been happening at Gordon's Hill," he began. I'm sure you all have experienced them one way or another, and of course, have heard of the recent sightings of an engine by Pip and Emma. Is it a ghost, sir? Asked Henry. The Fat Controller paused briefly. A lost spirit, shall we say.
Spirit.
His name was Conrad. He was a very old engine when I took charge of the railway. An enthusiastic, hard-working, and very useful engine. He felt his responsibility deeply as a banker on what is more now commonly known as Gordon's Hill. A kind-hearted engine that would assist even his worst enemy. But I'm afraid his eagerness to please got the better of him. One foggy night, a passenger train slipped to a halt in the gradient. Conrad rushed to the scene. The passenger train began to roll back down the hill. I'm sorry to say, Conrad never saw it coming. The engines were horrified.
You mean he crashed to the back of it, sir?
Asked Emma quietly. The Fat Controller nodded. Everyone in the rear coach lost their lives. Conrad was beyond repair. Soon after the accident, rumours of an engine assisting trains began to strike fear into the crews. I believe it was just Conrad and his willingness to help others in need. The crews went on strike and refused to drive trains beyond Wellsworth and Mountain Station. I therefore decided that Edward would become the banker of the hill. His strong work ethic and reliability meant that he could help every train and convince the crew that there was no ghost. Indeed, it must have worked. For the many years Edward has been a banker, there's been no sightings of Conrad. Until now. The engines looked at the Fat Controller solemnly. You can never hide from the past, the Fat Controller said gravely. The engines were lost in their thoughts. Edward no longer banks trains up Gordon's Hill. Instead, he is busy on his branch line. The Fat Controller hired another engine from a heritage railway to help with the trains and become the new banker. Because of this, there are no more sightings of Conrad anymore. The engines sometimes hope to see him, but now they understand. They don't feel frightened of him anymore. Pip, but mostly Emma, felt the saddest. They know he means no harm, and that he isn't scary at all, but just an engine who's still willing to be useful, even after death. Pip, Emma, and the other engines agree that should he return, they'll never live in fear of him again. Briefly. A lost spirit, shall we say. His name was Conrad. He was a very old engine when I took charge of the railway. An enthusiast.
Enthusiast. Well, that was your ghost.
Okay.
His name was Conrad.
Oh my god.
Enthusiastic, hard-working, and very useful.
He used to be a very.
He felt his responsibility deeply as a banker on what is more now commonly known as Gordon's Hill.
I mean, Conrad used to be the original banker. His
name was Conrad.
Gordon's Hill.
He was a very old engine when I took charge of the railway. Enthusiastic, hard-working, very useful. He felt his responsibility deeply as a banker on what is more now commonly known as Gordon's Hill. A kind-hearted engine that would assist even his worst enemy. But I'm afraid his eagerness to please got the better of him. One foggy night, a passenger train slipped to a halt in the gradient. Conrad rushed to the scene.